Yo, this is Rome, your favorite rapper, and you're on another season of Entrepreneur Talk, and I got the lovely, lovely Tiawana in the building, man. She's an author, book writer, you know what I'm saying? Y'all got to catch up. I don't know if y'all know, but she a Philadelphia native. I'm going to let her explain a little bit about her background and how she got here on Entrepreneur Talk Live with Rome, your favorite rapper.
Wow. So, born and raised in North Philadelphia. I lived in different parts of the city, South Philly for a short period, West Philadelphia. I grew up in Diamond Street Projects. I hated it. I hated it.
Diamond Street?
I hated it. I stayed in the house. I hated the projects.
Oh, so you a little tough, you not a typical female.
No. I'm your girls. I lived in the projects, but I wasn't from the projects.
Oh, okay.
I stayed in the house.
You said, nigga, I'm from them, but nigga.
Yeah, the projects is not in me. I didn't like the atmosphere. I didn't like the people.
Okay.
And then the elevators. You got to go up and down the elevators, and if they broke,
get trapped in the elevator, you get jammed.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed because, you know, being on the elevator and nothing ever happened to me.
Thank God.
You know, the elevator's broke.
Thank God.
I'm taking the stairs. The stairs are dark.
It's dark and they long. And it's a long way down the stairs. I guarantee they had you on a high floor.
Yeah, I was on the 9th. So I made it out of the I made it out the projects. And how I started writing in my early 20s because of how I was brought up. I just knew it was something about my story that needed to be told.
Right.
And I knew that there were other people like me.
Facts.
I remember being in the projects, going to the store with the food stamp book, and it blew my mind. Like, I was so ashamed to go to the store, not knowing that everybody that was around me was going to the store with food stamps.
Wow. So
I knew it was something about my story that I needed to share. So that was in my 20s. I started writing.
Okay.
But I was always on the go, always moving, partying, just hanging out, doing what I wanted to do. And
so you was partying more than you was writing?
Yes. Okay. So
that's what slowed up your process of you getting to your gift right away.
And I worked a lot too.
True that.
Right. So
did you know you had that
No.
So you juggling with it in between work and having fun.
Yeah.
But you're actually still writing.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're not writing?
I started writing because I knew it was a story. I knew I had a story that needed to be told.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
You started writing, but...
I started writing, but then I took that book, and that book wound up in a hallway closet with old mail, right?
Oh, you threw it. Oh, you just stashed it.
Yes. So years went by, and I'm still thinking, like, I need to write this book. So I started writing again. I found the book, and then I started writing again.
Okay.
But then because my life was still busy and I was still on the go.
You stashed the book again?
I stashed the book again.
So you basically writing this story of yours like a diary.
No, I'm not. Because now when I start writing, bless you. So when I started writing this book 3 years ago, I'm starting from scratch.
Okay.
And I started writing and I kept going until it was done.
Okay.
But the difference between 3 years ago when I started writing and finished, God had set me down.
Okay.
I had time.
Oh, okay.
Before in the past I didn't sit still long enough.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like you couldn't carry out the assignment fully because you was putting all these other things before it.
Yes.
And you really weren't making time to actually get to this, make this a priority.
Yeah. But even though I knew I had a story to tell, I never thought that I would write this book. I didn't think
you stashed it 2-3 times, I bet.
I didn't think.
But it's funny, not to cut you off. To go in it 3 times, and every time you go to the book, you haven't thrown the book actually away yet. Tells me you had it in your heart. The actual literature of what you were writing was in your heart. You see what I'm saying? And I'm gonna keep it real. Sometimes when you go deep, that ain't overnight.
Right.
Ain't nobody gonna just sit there and be on some Stephen King.
Right.
And you just typing up 100 sheets of some shit in one day.
So
it can be done, but
so my book was
Your book
done.
was a journey.
It was done within a month.
Okay.
But I kept rereading and editing and editing and just doing different things to the book before I actually sent it to an editor.
Okay.
To edit it, and then I published my own book.
How did you find out where the editor? How did you find out information on how to even publish a book?
Okay, so
because you said you was in your 20s when you started. Or you knew that you wanted to tell the story because the story you want to tell the story whether you write a book or not. Mm-hmm. The story could be told just directly out your mouth, but you're writing a story that may save many of people outside of yourself. So you're not doing it just for yourself no more. So I think that's what kept taking you back to writing this book. Right.
And I had to grow up.
Facts.
I had to grow up and I had to learn some things. But what I would say is 3 years ago when God set me down, I had time to write this book.
Okay.
And it was just like that. Like I started writing and I didn't stop. And
is that the format to writing a book? Because like when I do music, if I'm writing, I don't write no more. So I don't physically write, but I write in my head, as you would say, because even when you making up these things in your head, you got to remember them. It's still you putting them together as like you was writing.
Right. So you have to understand. My book starts from the age of 6 years old up until the age 50.
You knew you was gonna break it down like that?
No. So it just happened. Like once I realized, because here's my testimony. Right. 3 years ago, I found out that my daughter is dealing with mental health.
Okay.
Right? Now I have to take the full responsibility of raising my granddaughter.
Okay.
When I tell you it hit me like a bag of bricks, I just knew that I was ready to live my own life and do what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. And it set me down because once I had to get her in school.
Okay.
And out in Texas, it's different because the kids get on the school bus.
Okay.
So I have to be there to drop her off and be there to pick her up. So for 3 months, I'm out of work.
Trying to figure out how to get the job that's going to allow you to be able to take her to school and pick her up.
Yes.
Wow.
So during that time, now I can hear God talking to me. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And he's like, now is the time.
Right.
Because all the other times I wanted to write my book, it wasn't time.
You know why? Because you didn't need it then. Not saying that you didn't have the ammunition or the resources, but
I had more story to tell.
You had more life to live.
Yes.
Which is actually, on the flip side, the book. Right? Basically, you know what I mean? It's your life. So that's why it took increments. And it took you to grow in your character because now this book has a different texture. It has a 6-year-old. It has a child's texture. It has whatever your teenage texture. It has your young adult texture. Now it has this grown woman's texture, all in this one book.
Right.
That's a crazy dynamic book.
Now, what I did when it came to the chapters, I had to do a lot of self-work, a lot of self-healing. For years, I had been wanting to read the Bible and couldn't figure out how to read it. I didn't know if I started the first page and go all the way to the last page, and I would ask different people, how do I do it, right? No one could give me a definitive answer.
I started at the back and blew me.
I started from the front, the first page, and it blew my mind. But remember, as a kid, I went to church until I got to an age where I didn't have to go, where I could say I didn't want to go, right? The only thing I enjoyed about church was the music. And
because you know what's so funny you said, not to cut you off, you know what's so funny, that's to put my little 2 cents in there. I always felt the same way too. Always loved the music and always seen myself down there doing something with it, rather it was playing an instrument, dancing, singing, having a tangerine, or the what was the thing, the tambourine, and rather that. But when it came down to the sermons,
now the only time I enjoyed the sermons was when I thought he was talking about me. You know, there's always that sermon. They'd be like, "Is he talking about me?"
Or talking about us? Or is he talking about the family? Like, like it's some shit. Like, who told him we broke?
But yeah, I had to do some healing. I started doing shadow work where I started to look within.
Okay.
And when everything just started to come to me, that's how I named my chapters.
Okay. Ooh.
I got all of my chapters together. Once I got the title of the chapters, now I know what I'm writing about.
Now imagine your titles of your chapter in your book. What you think so different from a musician, a person that made music? It's the same thing. I got to come up with the title of the song.
Yes.
I got to come up with the theme of how it's going to come on off the title of the song. It has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yes, right.
It's crazy because that's why I say all this stuff is really this. But it's just like if you was a barber, everybody got an outline already. So if you never cut nobody hair, and you still got an outline to still be able to follow, to start sculpturing what you may have a talent in. You know what I mean? It's just crazy how life is. But go ahead, finish.
Yeah. So, and then the title, my book that I have up here is the last book that I had just wrote. Right. It explains how to write a book, how to edit your book, how to publish your book.
Which book is this? And this one?
No, this one.
This one.
And yes, and you know how when you get those books and it says Spanish for Dummies?
Right.
This book right here, I know this one right here.
Oh.
How to turn your story into a book. And I say it's for dummies because it has everything that you need.
Y'all see this?
It has a glossary, it has an index, and I show you how I published my book, and I also showed the manuscript way on how to publish.
When that thing say by Tiawana Harrell, it's by Tiawana Harrell.
Yes.
You did. That's what I'm talking about.
It breaks it
step by step booklet for you to get.
Yeah, it breaks everything down.
Dedication.
I call my son a gem dropper because you asked me how did I know about publishing and editing and things like that. My oldest son, I was telling him that I wanted to write a book, and he said, "Go here for your editor." And I did that.
He knew who an editor was. See, that's fly.
Yeah, he sent me somewhere, and I went there, and I just, I just kept going until
children, man. I'm telling y'all, man. Information is king.
Yes.
But it's hard to come by today. So to my community and my Entrepreneur Talk community, it's like, don't be so deterred in asking questions. Asking the nearest person around you. They may have the information.
And it's not even that. It's not even that. I don't want to blame it on people not asking questions. And I'm getting the chills because, like, I just want people to learn. I want people to grow. Right. And I want people to be better. Right? The reason I wrote that book was because I had people kept asking me, how do you, right? And then I was giving out a lot of free game. Right? But I'm not getting anything from it. Everything is in there. I didn't give you half and say, hey, you take this and you do the rest. We as people, we are so afraid to let somebody else have what we have or know what we know. We want to keep everything to ourselves.
Look at you on the back. We in the 9. We in that number 9. And I'm looking at here, and
I strongly encourage people to write your story, tell your story.
She got 64 pages in here, but I'm gonna claim 63 because this right here just love on purpose. But 63 4 pages of actual story,
and it also has a workbook in the back.
Oh,
you want to write a book? This book here is gonna give you everything that you need. Is a workbook back here to practice.
See what I'm saying? She even she breaking down the chapters.
Everything.
Google Docs, Microsoft Word. Listen, mailing address. You wasn't playing, T.
No. Because I truly believe everybody have a story to tell.
So if I tell you my story, you can write a book. You can write it out. You can write it out as a book. So you about to be my writer. Cause you about to write my book.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Because
one book turned into, where am I at, 4? And I'm on book 5 now.
She on book 5. She keeps saying 4. But you know me.
I am on book 5.
If you already created and the idea is already in your you creating the idea physically already, then you got 5 books, because we know it's coming out if 4 came out. That's how I rock. You know what I'm saying? It's like waiting for a pair of shoestrings. You know what I mean? You know you gonna tie your sneakers up, and once you get them off.
When I started promoting my book, Broken to Unbroken.
Right. That's what I want to talk about.
Okay.
Broken to Unbroken. Deep book for you. This book is more structured about your true livelihood to dotting your I's and crossing your T's.
Bottom line is childhood trauma. And a lot of us don't talk about childhood trauma.
Right.
A lot of us don't talk about generational curses. And that's something that I'm big on.
Right.
I am big on generational curses. My peers, we have to do the things that we need to do to protect our young ones.
Right.
And to keep them from going through the same thing that we went through. We have to say, no, this is not going to happen to another generation.
Right. So all this childhood trauma that you've been through has inspired you to write this book.
Yeah, because everybody's childhood trauma is different, right? But I know there's a lot of people that can relate to my story. That's why I'm pushing it, so that people can read it and say, okay, I've been through the same thing. And I got a lot of feedback from my book. A lot of people are saying they can relate. They've been through something similar.
Right.
But the thing with childhood trauma, and the reason I'm always talking about childhood trauma is because a lot of times people think, when they think childhood trauma, they think murder, they think rape, they think molestation, they think of things on the surface.
Right, right.
But if you go below the surface, there's other things that kids go through that people don't talk about because it seems so normal.
Right.
My house is like that.
Okay.
Their house is like that. Your house is like that. It's no big deal.
Right.
But really it is. It's not okay.
It's not.
Some of the things that goes on in people's homes is not okay. I remember doing a video, and I was talking about people just protecting their children, like doing what you need to do for your children. Yeah. And growing up, I always heard, whatever happens in our house stays in our house. Right? And a lot of families heard that. Because I heard it, I taught it to my kids. What happened in our house stays in our house. Not that anything bad was happening, but it was more so, it's nobody's business, right? Yeah. But because we tell our kids that whatever happens in our house stays in our house, something could be going on with that child and nobody knows because you done told them not to say anything. So things like that.
I never raised my daughter like that. Like, I'm open with my daughter with everything. Like, I talk to my daughter like she's not my homie, but like somebody that's real with her. Like, if you had a real friend, you're supposed to be able to be open enough to be able to tell the truth.
You know what I mean? Period. She feels comfortable to come to you and talk to you.
No, she have her days where it's certain things, like I notice as a female, she may want to talk to another female before she bring it to me.
Understood.
Because she don't know as a man how I'm going to accept it. But some of the stuff that be happening, she still need to learn from a woman's point of view before she even bring it to me. And that's what she be trying to, she don't be wanting me to always have one up on her. She be trying to learn to see if she can bring it to me the right way.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's where I know sometimes she be wanting to be molded a little bit. Where she might be talking to a counselor, or somebody one of the teachers may call me. You know what I'm saying? Or even my hairstylist, might call me and be like, yeah, she was telling me this and that. And I'll be like, well, why she ain't come tell me? But then I'll be like, oh, some girl, some
sometimes she want to hear, she want to have a conversation
she know if she wants somebody to relate to it a little bit more.
Yes.
And she knows that I can't. I'm just going to attack it from a responsibility point of view.
I love your relationship with her, though, because there's not a lot of men that's like really in their daughter's life and teaching them, hey, this is not okay.
No, real talk. Like,
this is not okay from another man.
But see, you know why I do? She's my biological child, so I always look at it like this. Like, my grandmom took care of me, and I wasn't her biological child. I was like biological grandchild, but I'm like this. if she could do it twice, did it for my mom and her and my aunt, and then she wound up doing it for me and my brother. So I look at it like this: if she could do it twice, it's no way in hell what she instilled in me, I can't do it for mine.
Right.
And they actually mine. So you know what I mean?
And it's not even if you can do it, you have to want to do it.
Yeah, no, you gotta know you could do it. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, that's why it's funny with me, because like when people like females talk about relationships and stuff like that, and I be like, well, y'all gotta understand, like, I got a child in there, like teenager, she's 15, but it's like still my child, my baby. Right. And it's like what people don't understand is I gotta take care of her like I take care of myself. So it's like when people be like, well, oh, I got to do the same. It's double. What I do for me, I got to do for her. No different than that saying, you know, what you want for yourself, you got to want for your brothers. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's like, that's why when women come in my life and I be like, listen, you only gonna let a nigga take care, you know, do the best he can do to take care. Because I say at the end of the day, it ain't like I'm rich with my daughter. No, my daughter just accept me for who I am. She know I'm struggling. She know when the struggle was in, and she know when time is hard.
She understands.
And she understands. That's why when we get through them, because I always tell her, the funny thing about me with her, I always tell her, oh, this gonna pass. We're gonna get through this. Yeah. We're gonna get a car eventually. We're gonna do that. And everything comes to pass. And then she be looking at me like, I always do this to her. Then I say, God was gonna do it. She look at me like, you did that. Did that.
Everything is in God's timing.
Just gotta walk with you.
You gotta do the work.
Do the steps. And it's all right if you got somebody that's willing to put that effort in. You know, I'm an effortless person. You know what I'm saying? I like I say, you know, the book, it kind of like reminds me of myself just in a manly way. You know what I mean? Like I reciprocate off a lot of stuff that you talk about openly. Outside, you guys gotta think you broke your book down online. So, you know, you broke it down on your page and it was promoting it.
It was hard.
You know what I mean? But I'm gonna keep it real. I'm glad you did it, because
I'm glad I did
it's harder for the people that don't think somebody else going through it. So to hear somebody being strong is the motivation for that they truly need. They don't need no medicine. They don't need no pills. They need somebody else to say, hey, listen, I went through that shit and it wasn't easy.
I thought I was going to get caught up in the streets. I thought that it was going to swallow me whole, because I was in the streets. I was in the streets.
So then when you say you was in the, because you from Philly, you from North Side. So it's like, I'm looking at it in two different ways. Like, you hear guys say, oh, I was in the street, knee deep in that shit. I couldn't get out, you know. So when you say you was in the streets, was you really like out there hustling, grinding, or you was in the streets far as like the one that we knew, like we was at the party or the dollar party or it was something going on in the neighborhood, we would see you there?
So
would they call you a gigolo? So if it was in this time, like or in our little era, would you have been a gigolo? Like we know, like you at the party, she gonna be at the party, probably chilling and buying drinks and at the.
So no, I wasn't buying the drinks. So when it came to,
because you know you got some people that ball out. You know, sometimes when you the life of the party. Does it sound like you was the life of the party? You know,
I had fun. So in my younger years, I sold drugs.
Okay. That's what
I wasn't outside. I was a hustler. I knew how to do everything except for cook it up.
Okay.
So I knew how, and a lot of people don't know that. So I did that, and I partied a lot.
Because that money was coming.
But here's the thing. No. So when the money was coming, I was in a house a lot.
Okay.
You know, it's that life scares you. So I was in a house a lot.
But you was making the money.
I was making some money. I wasn't making money like that, but yeah, I was making. I was making a little something.
You was making enough to know you was hustling. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Like if I'm gonna put it in that point.
Yeah, yeah. But when it came to partying, like I frequent the same places, and people knew me.
Right.
People knew me. It was places that I would go to. I didn't have to pay to get in. It was just like going on in because I frequent the places a lot. So
right. And you spent money.
You spent I might have spent a little bit of money.
You was a lucky little bean.
Yeah, I didn't spend
maybe that's why you was yeah, I said it in that fashion because
yeah, I didn't
because you knew you ain't had to do none of that shit. I'm getting
so let me say this because I want to be completely transparent. I wouldn't call myself a hoe or a whore.
I ain't want to say those names.
No, but I want to be completely transparent because I don't want somebody to see this and say, "Oh yeah, she did this and she did that."
Okay.
I had my share, right?
But what's that? All right, so because you gotta think this entrepreneur talk. So we we open, we gonna talk. So
okay, let's talk.
And I want to understand because as a 45-year-old man, I'm still growing, I'm still learning, and it's a lot that I don't know about women. Mm-hmm. Still to the day, shit blow my mind. I be like, that shit was going on because there's a lot of things that I got around that I just didn't have to do, didn't do, or women would push me in a different direction compared to they might have pushed certain other niggas. You know what I'm saying? So I don't be knowing all the time. So I was going to say hoe and all that like you, but I use the word gigolo.
Right.
Because it's like, it's a discrepancy. It don't make a discrepancy of you had to been fucking. Right. Our layman terms, when we say hoe and all that she's doing everything. Like
no.
She's a hoe. And our terms is nowadays most of the time that's a whore. You know what I'm saying?
So
she ran through. She could get ran through a nigga. Probably catch up.
No, I wasn't getting ran through. I was running through some niggas.
Okay.
But they wasn't running through me. so I kind of did what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. Right?
She said, I was running through some niggas.
I was running through some niggas.
Damn.
I had a couple at a time, and
all right. So you was aggressive of like if you liked it a nigga, you was coming at him.
Yeah, if I liked you, I'm gonna let you know.
You didn't let the nigga get time to see if the nigga liked you and all that. You like, nigga, what's up with you, baby?
Yeah.
How you?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have a problem telling people, hey, what's your name?
That's
or what's up with you?
What's up with you?
And what I did was everybody was a benefit for something.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But also, I remember as a kid hearing use what you got to get what you want.
See.
So
you was hearing these things. So was you hearing them or was you being taught them? Because I want people to see the understanding in this too.
I wasn't taught.
That's what I'm saying. I wasn't taught. Just hearing these things from some of the people that was making the moves.
Yes. I would hear people say, use what you got to get what you want. And I did just that. And if you didn't give me...
When did you know you had something to want?
Okay, so I was 16 years old, right?
When did you know you was that girl?
Yeah. Okay, so all of my life, right? All of my life, people would say, oh, you're so pretty. You're a pretty little girl. I never thought I was pretty. So that was something that I battled all of my years, right? I didn't go outside much because my mom had 7 kids, so I had to babysit a lot.
Do you ever think, not to cut you off, do you ever think about that now that you're not that person that thought like that?
Do I ever think about...
Like, when you said you didn't think you was pretty and all that, but now that you've grown and a true adult and been here for pretty time, do those thoughts ever cross your mind? Like, why the fuck did I think I was ugly? Because I know you don't go in the mirror now and get yourself sharpened all up.
No, you know what? The funny thing is,
you be sharp as a whistle.
No, the funny thing is, I have days where I still feel like I'm not cute.
Well, what do you think makes you cute?
I don't know. It's just, okay, for me, right? For me, I grew up, I had buck teeth, right?
Me too. I had braces on my teeth.
I didn't have braces, but I had buck teeth, right? And then I had a big forehead. So I would always fix my hair in a way where I would... I would put my hair in a way where I would cover my neck.
All us Aries got these foreheads, man. It's just not going nowhere. But we ran. But if you ever look at our sign, if you ever look at a ram and they cheekbones and the animal, we look just like the animal. Yes, I swear to God. So anybody, he's an Aries.
Yes.
We both Aries. We 2 days apart, too. That's why he got his hair over top of his forehead coming over.
Yes.
Because he don't like his forehead. Like, he always shaping his joint up. He be like, man, at least my shit ain't going back yet, nigga. Y'all niggas shit going back in my head. Like I said.
So that was my dilemma. Yeah, but when I knew, when I kind of knew I had it, I was 16 years old. A cousin moved in with us, and I had never had sex at that point. I didn't know.
Cousin?
One of my cousins moved in, and I didn't know anything. So she kind of introduced me to a lot of things. And once I got out in the street,
so it was damn near like Players Club.
Yeah. So I had I would catch the bus. I had a little job, and I would catch the bus. And this guy in the neighborhood, he was somebody that everybody knew about. And every time I would get off the bus, he would be in his convertible car behind the bus. Mm-hmm. Hey, what's your name? Yeah. So I was like, I'm good off you. So, and he just kept doing it. And when I finally hooked up with him, the first thing he did was took me shopping.
What made you hook up with him when you said you was good? Like, what made you be indecisive?
Because he said to me he wanted to take me shopping, and I think that kind of set the tone.
So that's why when you said majority of the time anybody you mess with, you got something out of it.
Yeah.
So that's when that wave kind of started in your life.
Yes. So he set the tone, right? He set that tone, right? But then I started dating this guy who was 10 years older than me.
Damn.
So now I'm 17 and he's 27.
He's balling more than the OG?
He's balling. No, they same, but they in different neighborhoods.
Okay.
Still North Philly.
So you was able to just like play?
No, because the when I tell you God comes through when he's supposed to come through, because a little while after he took me shopping, he got arrested. And I was trying to figure out how to tell him that I didn't want to talk to him anymore. So
God got him. Seeing people like, I don't believe in God. Knowing God done helped a lot of you niggas out on the ing bing.